Okay, so today this is going to be a quick video on how to replace the battery on a 2017 to 2020 Acura MDX. As you can see, I've got the new battery down here. This one is from Walmart. It comes with a 2-year warranty, but it's only $109 and it's $139, or it's actually $132 after tax. If you try and get one of these from AutoZone or Advanced Auto, you're paying close to $179 up to $250, and that is before tax. So it's way cheaper to get it from Walmart. A 2-year warranty is fine on the battery. So just a little heads up in case you want to save, a little bit of money on the battery itself. So make sure you pop the hood, which obviously you're going to have to do to get the hood open. So we're going to open it right here. And here is the engine bay. And as you can see, the battery is under here. It's very difficult to get to because the airbox is blocking it. So in order to get to the battery to replace it, we're going to have to remove this clip here and a couple of other clips that might already be removed, but I'm going to show you anyway. And then this whole piece will lift off, and then it will give us access to remove the airbox and get to the battery. So let's get started. Okay, so on some of these models I've seen where there is a little clip here and a couple here that you actually got to remove. On my particular model, you don't have to do that. You just have to lift this up, and there's some clips underneath that you'll hear make a noise as they pop out. It's kind of hard to do it with one hand, but they basically pop up and pop out of place. There's another one here. And then maneuver it around this little lever, and this whole thing pops off. And just put that to the side. Once this bit's been removed, you can see this is where those clips actually hold it on. I had a couple missing, so someone's obviously removed this already, but after you've done that, you're going to use a screwdriver to remove these pieces, and then it's going to loosen up the airbox. That's what this piece is. So I'm going to go ahead and use a automatic or electronic screwdriver. You can just go slow with it. Loosen these pieces. See it coming up. And then once these pieces are up, you can lift this out. You might actually need a little pry piece to get these up to. You can use one of these pry things to get under it. Oops, that went down there. That didn't go right. Pop that one out. There we go. Pops out, looks just like this. Make sure you save these pieces so you can re-secure the airbox. Okay, you're also going to do the same thing with these two pieces, and then it will allow you to remove the airbox. Okay, so once these pieces have all been removed, now you can wiggle and take the airbox out. So you can remove this piece first. Just move it to the side. Put it down here. But you can wiggle this part of the airbox and pulls right out. Put this to the side, and now you can see that the battery is now exposed, so you can get to it. And you're gonna have to remove this bit for the bracket, which is a 10mm socket or wrench, and you're going to do it on each side so that you can get access to the battery. Okay, so since my socket is not a long one where it can fit over there and go all the way down, I'm going to use one of these wrenches to get it off instead. And it's just going to be anti-clockwise to get it off. As they say, lefty loosey, righty tighty. That's how lots of people remember it. once it's loose enough, there's like a little hole down here where you can see the peg go through, and you can usually loosen that and get it out, but I'm going to do that off camera. Remember, you're going to do it on this side. This little plastic piece needs to be pulled off, and then you can get this one off as well. But like I said, I'm going to do that off camera since I don't want to do it with one hand. So I took this nut all the way off to see if I could get away with just moving the bracket to the side and seeing if I can take the battery out that way. That way it saves time having to remove this one too. So let's see if it allows me to do that. You're going to need the 10mm for this, for the negative, and for the positive side as well. And then I should be able to just lift the battery out. This cover piece is going to have to come off because the battery sits inside of this. So I will loosen these bits first, and then I'll take the cover piece off and remove the battery. And since these ones are not long 10mm bolts, I can do it with my regular socket wrench. Okay, you don't have to take these ones all the way off. You should just be able to loosen it, and this piece should be able to lift off. Same with this one. Usually you don't have to loosen them. I mean, usually you don't have to take them all the way off. They'll loosen to the point where the positive and negative will just come off. Okay, so like I said, both loosened up pretty easily and came off. So now it will just be removing this casing, pulling the battery out, which there's usually handles for it. On the new battery, there's a handle here, a single handle. It's pretty heavy, so be careful. Okay, so now you can pull this piece back. This cover's fairly loose anyway. Will it let me take it off? It should. It's not connected to the bracket there. You just got to move some of these cables to the side so that you can pull it out. There we go. This is the cover for the battery. So now the battery is exposed, and since it's the original battery, it comes with these two handles. Okay, so now I can grab this and lift it out. Oh, it is heavy. Put that to the side. That's the old battery versus the new. And then as you can see in here, we are ready to go ahead and put the new battery in. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so lifting the new battery in should be a lot easier than putting the old one in because it's got a single handle instead of those dual handles. But I'm gonna do it with off camera so I can move these wires out of the way and get it in properly. That should be pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so once you've got the new battery in place, I made the mistake at first of reconnecting these terminals. Make sure you don't do that because this protective cover piece has to go back on first, and then you can connect the terminals. So you can see it's got the holes for it to pop through. I'm gonna put this back on, and then we're gonna connect the terminals back onto the battery. Okay, so it does take some wiggling and some jiggling to get this box back in place, but once it is back in place, now you can either choose to put the bracket back on and do that bolt, or you can choose to do the terminals. I don't think it really matters what order you do it in. I'm just going to do this bracket first and tighten it up, and then once I do that, I'm going to do these two terminals. Don't forget, this is going to be the 10mm with the regular wrench. So it's going to be this one down here. And you can just finger tighten it at first. And then you can use the wrench to tighten it all the way. and make sure that this little metal piece goes through the hole so that it's on there secure. Okay, so I got this piece on here nice and tight. So now I am going to get the terminals here, place these back on. Like I said, you can finger tighten this first. And then since this isn't the long 10mm, it's the small one, I'm going to go ahead and use my regular wrench and tighten that up. You don't have to over tighten it, but just make sure it's on there nice and snug. You want it pretty tight, but you don't want to, you know, strip or round off these bolts. So once you've done one, I'm going to go ahead and do the other. Okay, I re-tightened this because you want it to be on straight so that the cap can go back down like normal. Since I had it at an angle the first time, the cap wouldn't close. So once that's done, we can go ahead and put the airbox stuff back on. So make sure that this rubber piece of the hose is on there nice and snug. And then you are going to reconnect it here. And you want it to line up with these two where the little clips are going to go back in. Don't put any of it back in yet until this second piece goes in. It slides in like so, and you want this to line up with these bits, but it's actually going to go underneath this. So I'm trying to do it with one hand. Hold on. Okay, so you want it to look like this. This piece goes in first, this piece goes on top, and then make sure this is connected nice and snug, airtight. And then we're going to go ahead and put the clips back in these holes here, which, by the way, I lost one of them. Dropped it in the airbox, but the only reason I lost it is because I was doing it one-handed for you guys. This is the first bit. This you can squeeze back in there. I may have to do this two-handed, but you squeeze this back in, and then the screw piece goes in the middle of that. The reason why it's impossible to do this one-handed is because I've got to squeeze it and get it in the hole, and I need both hands to do that. Okay, once those first two clips are in, now you can place the screws back in place, and then you're going to use your electric screwdriver to go clockwise to screw them back in. And you do not need to do these very tight because the clips pretty much hold them in place quite tight. Okay, once you've done these two, you're going to do the same thing for this bit. And like I said, I lost one of these because I was doing it one-handed, but that's not that big of a deal. Don't really need to replace it, but it's easy to replace if you want to. Okay, so this is what it looks like when everything is back in place. This is a little bit loose. Like I said, it's not too bad. You don't really have to have that replaced. So the only thing left to do is to put this cover back on. Once again, it's not that difficult to do, but it's hard to do one-handed. So you need to make sure that this piece goes right where the latch is. Fits on like this. And this is going to go around where your water for the winter sprayer is. And you want to make sure that it fits nice and flush on either side. And you want it to go underneath this little rubber piece. Anyway, when everything is back in place, you should be able to press this down and you can hear the clicks of each piece clicking back into place. There should be one over here that's going to click to. Yep. There we go. And then everything fits nice and fine the way it's supposed to. This is not loose because it all clicked into place. And then all you need to do is start the car up and make sure that the new battery works.